Good morning, y'all. We are making chicken and dumplings this morning. I'm trying to get them made up so we can deliver them down to my neighbor's house. They are sick with the virus, and I just wanted to send them a little bit of love from our house to theirs. So, anyhow, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start our broth and chicken in this big pot here. So I've got chicken broth, store-bought chicken broth, that I'm just going to put 2.5 quarts in this. I'll start the fire, get it going. So this is kind of semi-homemade, because I'm using a rotisserie chicken. Y'all, there are so many uses for a rotisserie chicken. I mean, the cooking's already done for you. You just have to put it in your recipes. And I'm only going to use about half of this box. That should give me plenty of broth. Okay. Now I'm going to chop up an onion, but in the meantime, also I pulled the meat off of a rotisserie chicken last night in the refrigerator. So now I'm just going to dump that right here into the pot. I guess I should turn it where y'all can see. But just big chunks of the chicken. Of course, I pulled the skin off of that. There's no bones and no skin. It's just good chicken in there. Now I'm just going to chop this onion up, get it in there. I don't know how I cook without onions. I don't know how anybody does. I go through so many onions. I didn't realize how many until I started doing these videos. And every time I'd start doing a recipe, I'd be just about out of onions. So every time Bob goes to the grocery store, I usually have onions on the list. He does most of the shopping because we're just trying to be safe. So I make the little shopping list on Publix using their app, and it tells him exactly which aisle to go to and how many. I can put on there how many of them I want of each item. So I always shop there, buy one get one is free. All right, so I've got this onion chopped up now, and I'm just going to dump it in there. Okay. Let y'all see how this looks. You can see I just have the chicken and onions in the broth. So the next thing we're going to be doing is making the dough for the dumplings. So let me tell you what I've done with that. Let's see if I can turn this down some so you can actually see better what I'm doing. All right, so I saw this on a TV program and I thought it was great. I'm going to be mixing in some butter in with the flour, and usually you use one of those pastry blender things and it just takes forever. So I saw this cute little trick and I'm going to try it. You shred the butter. So hold on 1 second and I'll show you exactly what I'm doing. I took a little stick of butter. This is very cold, right out of the refrigerator. You could put it in the freezer if you wanted to and do it that way. But you just grate the butter and see how it just comes off in there like that. So I've got about 5 tablespoons of butter in here that's already grated up. So it should mix into my flour really easily. Let me show you. See how that looks? Just all finely grated up. And I've got 3 cups of flour in this bowl. I'll move this stuff out of the way. I've got 3 cups of flour in here, a teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon of soda. And now I'm just going to dump this butter in there. It's starting to get soft on me already, but that's okay. It's going to get soft when it gets in this flour anyhow. And then I'm just going to start working it in with my hand. Just mixing it in real good with the flour. We want little tiny chunks of butter all in this dough. I'll add flavor and just the right amount of oil so that these dumplings will turn out good. So I think you can see that's pretty fine there. There's no really big chunks of anything in there. You can see it's just fine stuff. Alright, and so now I'm going to add in 1 1/4 cups of buttermilk and 3 tablespoons of chopped parsley. So I've already got my parsley measured out. I'm going to put it in while this is all dry still. Just adds a little color to your dumplings. I'm not sure how much flavor it adds, but it looks pretty. You can see the green specks in there. And now then, pour it out. I'm going to start this with a spoon, see how it does. But this is 1 1/4 cups of buttermilk. I'm just going to pour it in and stir. I'm sure it's going to get thick. Hold on a second, I gotta go answer the door. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that interruption. Had somebody at the door. So, just gonna keep stirring this up. It's getting pretty thick, which is what we want it to be, so I can roll it out. It's kind of got to be a little bit of a stiff dough to be able to roll it out good. You just see it. You can see that's pretty stiff dough there. Alright, so let me get my rolling pin and everything out, and I'll get right back with you. Okay, I'm back, and my broth is starting to boil pretty good over here. I put the dough out of the bowl and onto a floured surface. You can just flour your countertops if they're nice and clean, but I use like a Teflon type mat, that silicone mat. I went ahead and divided the dough into 3 sections just so it'd be easier to manage here. So I think you can see it here, and I've put some flour on my rolling pin. So now I'm just going to roll this out, kind of thin. You can add flour as you go if it starts acting like it's going to try to stick or anything. It's kind of a tender dough. It's not really hard to roll. So I've rolled it down to where it's about, I would guess maybe 1/4 of an inch thick. And now I'm just going to take a little cutter like this and just cut it into little strips. You could use a knife if you wanted to, or the side of a little spatula. And then I'm just going to cut them at an angle and lift it up with this thing like this. So you can see it's just a little piece of dumpling here. And I'm just going to drop it right in the pot. Just drop each one right into the pot. You don't want giant dumplings, just about, you know, like that size. And just keep putting them all in the pot, and they'll go right down in there, and then they poof up to the top. You could also, I don't know if you use regular or low salt broth, but you might want to just taste the broth and see if you think it's salty enough. You might want to add some more salt just to increase the flavor, but it's totally up to you. I actually love salt in my cooking, but some people have to be on a low salt diet, so it's totally up to you. Now I'm ready to roll out the next section. Push it down a little bit. Add some more flour to my rolling pin. And just start rolling them out. It's pretty simple. Y'all want to see what they look like over here? Come here. See those dumplings down in there? Don't want to stir them too much because you don't want them to tear apart, but they're going to cook for about 20 minutes, anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. And then I'll turn this pot off and they'll be ready to take to the neighbor. Just finish cutting these. You can see this pot will hold a lot. And you just poke them down in there with your, make a little opening and drop it in. Make an opening with your spoon so that the new dumplings have a place to fall in. Like I say, they rise to the top. Like you saw, it was kind of covering the top of the pot, but these are getting on down in there now. Now I've got one more dough ball to do. I think you get the idea. It's pretty simple. I've made these in what, 10 minutes now? However long it took for the water to boil. That's the broth to boil. That's the longest time it takes because you've already got a cooked chicken in there. It didn't take any time to mix this dough together. And you can see dumplings don't have to be perfect. They just gotta taste good. And these should, with all that butter and chicken broth. Boom. We are almost done, y'all. All right, they're all in there. And that is a pot full of chicken and dumplings. Just take a look. Can't even see the chicken because the dumplings are all up here at the top. But the chicken's down in there. and the onions, all that beautiful broth. So anyhow, these are going to cook for a while. You see how they're puffing up a little bit. Alrighty. I'll be back later when I take a little dish up to taste. Talk to you later. Hey y'all, I just dipped up some and oh my gosh, it is so good. The dumpling is so tender and buttery, and the chicken is super tender. It's very flavorful. I hope my neighbors will be able to taste it. I don't know how the virus is affecting their taste buds, but at least it's chicken broth and that should be good for them. Anyhow, thank you. Y'all have a wonderful day and I'll catch up with you later.